Hello everyone. Take a moment to pause and reflect on the world around us. Have you ever wondered if the rapid changes, conflicts, and upheavals we see today are signs of things to come, as foretold in the Bible? We are living in times where things that seemed like stories from ancient texts are unfolding right before our eyes. Recognizing these signs not only strengthens our faith, but also prepares us mentally to face the challenges ahead. In today's video, we'll dive deeper into 5 major end-time signs happening around us and examine them through the lens of the Bible. I'll also share my thoughts and personal experiences so that we can learn how to keep our faith strong in these turbulent times. Let's start with the first sign: the widespread spirit of the Antichrist, its emergence, and deep impact on faith. The spirit of the Antichrist is a concept familiar to many, especially when reading the Bible. But did you know that this spirit is not just expressed in open acts of opposition to religion? It has spread, is spreading, and will continue to infiltrate every aspect of life, from public policies to cultures, education, and even the values we once thought were unshakable. Historically, the spirit of the Antichrist has manifested in many forms. From the Roman Empire, where emperors like Nero persecuted Christians, to the medieval crusades and religious conflicts. These events were not just physical battles, but also spiritual and moral wars. In modern times, nations are imposing more subtle, but still restrictive measures against religion. Take China, for example. This is one of the strictest countries in the world when it comes to controlling religion. Since the 1950s, China has tightened its grip on religious practices through the Cultural Revolution, and today they continue with extreme religious censorship. Churches are destroyed, believers are arrested, and even the Bible has been rewritten. For instance, in 2021, China publicly altered the Bible, calling Jesus a sinner, an act that not only violates religious freedom, but directly attacks the faith of millions. It's not just China. The West is also not immune to manifestations of the spirit of the Antichrist. In the UK, there are movements calling to ban the Bible, labeling it as containing hate speech. The rise of secularism and atheism is gradually changing societal structures, blurring the lines between right and wrong, good and evil. Studies have shown that increasingly, young people in the West no longer identify with any religion, and faith is losing its place in daily life. In light of this, I believe every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen and prove our faith. Instead of fear or retreat, we can see opposition as a test of our loyalty to God. I've had moments when my faith was challenged, in environments that no longer supported religious practices. But it's in those moments that I've felt God's presence more strongly, understanding that maintaining faith is not just a personal responsibility, but a way to set an example and guide others back to Him. Faith is not just a choice, it is alive and present in every action and word we speak. The widespread spirit of the Antichrist serves as a powerful reminder that we cannot simply stand by. We need to act. Turn every challenge into a prayer, every hardship into an opportunity to demonstrate faith. The spirit of the Antichrist doesn't just impact individual faith, it deeply affects the values of families and communities. In families, when a member is influenced by anti-religious views, it can lead to division and loss of harmony. In communities, as this spirit seeps into education, culture, and politics, it can create an environment where faith is diminished or even disrespected. Education is one of the most affected areas. When schools begin teaching secular views or treat religion as a mere part of history rather than a living aspect of daily life, it impacts how the younger generation perceives faith. I've often seen young people struggling internally when taught ideas that conflict with the beliefs instilled in them by their families. The influence of the Antichrist spirit is also evident in public policies. When moral values are overlooked in decision-making, we see clear consequences: a rise in crime, declining trust between people, and erosion of values once held dear by society. This not only threatens social stability, but also weakens the connection between people and God. Preparing for a global leader. Technology and power in the hands of the Antichrist. The rapid advancement of technology is not just a leap in science, but also opens new possibilities for control and surveillance of people. Facial recognition systems, digital surveillance, and artificial intelligence are becoming increasingly prevalent. While these technologies offer convenience in daily life, they also set the stage for a global leader like the Antichrist to wield absolute power. Modern surveillance technology has become an integral part of our lives. Think about how every day you pass by surveillance cameras on the streets, at your workplace, and even in your own home. These technologies are presented as security measures, but we must realize they are also tools for unprecedented levels of personal data collection and monitoring. Digital identification systems extend beyond public security measures. In China, the social credit system has been implemented, where citizens are scored based on their behavior and compliance with laws. Everyday actions like making payments, driving, and even personal relationships can affect this score. Higher scores grant more privileges, while lower scores can result in bans from public services, difficulty finding employment, or securing loans. The prospect of a global leader like the Antichrist using these technologies to control every aspect of life is no longer far-fetched. With the rise of digital currency and cashless payment systems, we are moving closer to a fully digital economy where every transaction can be monitored and controlled. A clear example is the use of microchips to replace traditional payment and identification methods. In Sweden, thousands of people have voluntarily implanted chips under their skin to replace credit cards, train tickets, and other payment methods. While this makes life more convenient, it also raises questions about privacy and personal freedom. When part of your body can be tracked, are you truly free? This scenario becomes even clearer when we connect it to the Bible's prophecy about people needing a mark to buy or sell under the control of the Antichrist. Imagine a world where you can't buy food, pay bills, or participate in any economic activity without complying with a global authority. I believe technology is a double-edged sword. It offers unprecedented convenience and connectivity, but it also brings risks of losing control and dependence. We cannot deny that technology has positively changed our lives, but it's crucial to stand firm and not let it become a tool for controlling our faith and personal lives. I've seen the benefits technology brings, but I've also encountered situations where technology can cause harm if not used correctly. For instance, in our daily work, we rely heavily on apps and smart devices. But what happens if one day these technologies are manipulated? This reminds me to always be vigilant, keeping my faith and personal values from being swayed by technology. The faith community must be alert to technological changes, especially when they could be used to undermine faith. Remember that technology should only be a tool to assist, not replace, our sincere relationship with God. We must always prioritize spiritual values and our personal relationship with God, rather than getting swept up in technological conveniences and forgetting the true purpose of worship. The rise of digital technology is gradually turning the world into a place where everything can be monitored and controlled. From the standpoint of privacy and personal freedom, this poses a significant threat. When every action, from shopping to traveling, can be tracked, we no longer have complete control over our lives. This could also lead to shifts in social and economic structures. When power is concentrated in the hands of a few or a single organization, the risk of abuse and manipulation is enormous. A prime example is how big tech companies control information and user data, influencing how we access information and even how we think about the world. Excessive dependence on technology also diminishes real-world connections between people. When we spend too much time on devices and online platforms, we lose genuine connections with family, friends, and communities. This not only affects personal relationships, but also weakens community spirit as people become more isolated and detached. Hearts growing cold. The moral decay of the modern age. Moral decay isn't a new phenomenon, but in today's world, it's happening at an alarming rate. According to the prophecy in 2 Timothy 3, in the last days, people will become cold-hearted, indifferent, and society will be filled with immoral behaviors. Acts of selfishness, indifference, and the rejection of traditional moral values are becoming more common. This isn't just a departure from religious values, but also a decline in societal standards. Let's look at the factors driving this decay. First, consumerism and materialism have become key forces in modern society. Success is often measured by what people own rather than by moral or spiritual values. Advertising campaigns, media, and even education consistently promote a lifestyle focused on material wealth and personal success. This leads to selfishness, where individuals are primarily concerned with their own benefits, neglecting their responsibilities to the community and society. Social media culture also plays a significant role in accelerating moral decay. In the virtual world, where people can remain anonymous and avoid facing direct consequences for their actions, indifference and malice can easily spread. Online behaviors like trolling, harassment, and personal attacks are symptoms of a society losing its kindness and compassion. Moreover, social media creates an environment where superficial and vain values are celebrated, overshadowing true moral virtues. Moral decay is also evident in art and entertainment. Today, many cultural products like movies, music, and video games promote immoral behaviors, from violence and unchecked sexuality to glorifying negative actions like deceit and betrayal. For example, popular movies and songs often celebrate a lavish, irresponsible lifestyle while downplaying family values. Children and teenagers, who are highly impressionable, easily absorb these messages and start seeing them as normal. In social relationships, we also witness this decay. From disrespecting elders, an increase in domestic violence, to fraud and deceit in work and everyday life. Stories of corruption, abuse of power, and misconduct in both public and private sectors are no longer rare. These actions not only undermine public trust in institutions, but also erode basic values of honesty and integrity. Personally, I feel that this moral decay is changing how people treat each other and themselves. We live in a world where surface-level values are prioritized over substantive ones. This poses a significant challenge for anyone striving to uphold faith and moral principles. Every day, I try to remind myself of the values I believe in, and I encourage everyone to do the same. We need to teach our children about honesty, kindness, and compassion, not just through words, but through concrete actions. Family is the foundation where these values should be taught and practiced. At the same time, we must also be role models in our communities so that good values can spread and create a better society. Moral decay doesn't just affect interpersonal relationships, it also weakens community spirit. As people become increasingly indifferent and self-centered, social bonds are threatened. This leads to more conflicts, division, and a loss of trust among community members. Imagine a society where everyone is only looking out for themselves, unconcerned about the consequences of their actions on others. This is not only a sad prospect, but also a warning of what could happen if we don't act in time. Moreover, moral decay has negative impacts on mental health. Studies have shown that living in an environment lacking compassion and filled with indifference can lead to depression, anxiety, and a loss of purpose. Faith not only helps us find comfort during difficult times, but also serves as a source of motivation to continue fighting for the values we believe in. Wars and rumors of wars, global turmoil, and biblical prophecies. War and conflict have been inseparable parts of human history, but in modern times, we are witnessing unprecedented upheavals. According to biblical prophecies, the world will experience times of conflict and turmoil, with wars and rumors of wars spreading everywhere. These are not just distant warnings, but realities unfolding around us every day. Modern warfare isn't limited to armed conflicts. It has expanded into other fields, such as cyber warfare and economic warfare. In cyber warfare, nations and organizations can attack critical infrastructure, steal data, and weaken their opponents without using traditional weapons. This poses a significant threat to national security and the stability of countries worldwide. Economic warfare is also becoming more common. Measures like tariffs, economic sanctions, and protective policies are tools nations use to exert pressure on each other. These wars not only affect the global economy, but directly impact the lives of millions of people. For example, the trade war between the US and China has disrupted global supply chains, increased prices, and reduced consumer access to goods and services. Consider the war in Ukraine. This is a stark example of global instability and the devastating consequences of war. From its causes to its developments, this conflict has altered the political landscape of Europe and created a major humanitarian crisis with millions of refugees. It clearly shows that end-time prophecies are not just stories in the Bible, but are unfolding vividly in the real world. Additionally, conflicts in the Middle East, the South China Sea, and other strategic regions are becoming increasingly tense. Disputes over territory, resources, and power are contributing to a heightened risk of war. These areas are not only military hotspots, but also places where the global balance of power is being challenged. This increases the likelihood of major wars that could cause harm not just to the involved nations, but to the entire world. When faced with news of wars and conflicts, it's important not to be swept up in the whirlpool of worry and fear. God has warned us about these things, and He has also promised that we will not be abandoned. Personally, I strive to maintain calm and remind myself that everything is under God's control. Faith helps me see hope, even in the darkest moments, and I hope you will also find peace in your faith. I believe that each of us can contribute to peace, even in small ways. Start with simple actions like being kind to one another, spreading positive messages, and participating in community activities. We may not be able to stop all wars, but we can reduce tension and conflict in our daily lives. Wars and conflicts do not only cause loss of life and property, they leave lasting consequences for both society and the environment. Economic damage from war is often extensive, from the destruction of infrastructure to disrupting supply chains and trade. This can lead to economic recession, unemployment, and increased social instability. Environmental impact is also a serious issue brought about by war. The use of weapons, deforestation, and water pollution cause not only short-term damage, but also long-term consequences for ecosystems. The loss of biodiversity, air and water pollution, and the destruction of habitats are significant challenges that nations must address post-war. Additionally, the impact on mental health cannot be ignored. Living in an environment filled with conflict and violence can cause stress, anxiety, and depression. Those who experience war, whether soldiers or civilians, face emotional scars that can be difficult to heal. These are invisible, but very real consequences that affect not just one generation, but many to come. The rise of technology and the risk of losing the essence of faith. The rapid rise of technology is not only changing how we live and work, but also profoundly affects how we practice and interact with faith. New technologies like artificial intelligence, AI, virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality, AR, are altering the ways we experience and engage with religion. AI is being used to create automated sermons, provide personalized religious content, and even robots that can perform religious rituals. These technologies make faith more accessible, especially in an increasingly digital world. However, this also raises questions about the authenticity and true meaning of worship. When religious rituals can be performed by machines, are we losing some of the true essence of faith? Virtual reality and augmented reality are also being used to create online worship spaces where users can participate in services without leaving home. These technologies help those who can't physically attend church, such as the elderly, disabled, or those living in remote areas, still engage in religious activities. However, this also diminishes the real connection between believers and can weaken the sense of community in religion. One clear example is digital churches, where services and religious activities are conducted entirely online. In the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, many churches had to shift to online models to maintain their operations. This opens up new opportunities, but also presents challenges, as the physical presence and genuine interaction among believers are reduced. Studies have shown that while technology makes faith more accessible, it cannot fully replace the connection and experience of in-person worship. Many people feel a lack of engagement when participating in online services, which can affect the depth of faith and commitment. Another example is AI and personalized religion, with the emergence of AI applications that help personalize the religious experience. These apps can suggest sermons, songs, or religious content based on the user's mood or needs. While this is a significant advancement in connecting and supporting users in practicing faith, it can also make faith too personalized, lacking community, and sometimes the challenges necessary to strengthen faith. Personally, I believe that technology offers many benefits but also poses risks to faith. Using technology in religion can help spread God's message more widely and make it more accessible to many people. However, we must be cautious not to let faith become merely virtual interactions, lacking depth and sincerity. I believe worship and practicing faith is a personal journey that requires dedication and cannot rely solely on technology. A relationship with God requires an investment of time, mind, and spirit. Technology should be seen as a support tool, not a replacement for a personal and direct relationship with God. We need to stay alert, not to be swayed by conveniences, and forget the true purpose of practicing faith. The rise of technology doesn't just change how we access religion, it can fundamentally alter the nature of faith if not used correctly. When everything becomes too easy and automated, people may lose seriousness and dedication in practicing faith. Instead of going to church and joining worship with the community, one might simply stay at home, turn on an online service, and consider their religious duty fulfilled. This not only affects the individual, but also weakens the connection and spirit of community in religion. Another aspect is the impact on religious education. With the growth of Bible study apps and online courses, religious learning is easier than ever. However, this can also diminish real interaction and the learning experiences from previous generations. Children and teenagers might learn the Bible through screens, but they may miss out on the deep experiences that come from learning directly from family and community. Moreover, as technology becomes an important part of practicing faith, we also face challenges regarding privacy and information security. Religious apps collect personal data from users, from worship habits to preferred religious content. This raises concerns about the misuse of personal information, or even the possibility of governments or bad actors exploiting this data to control or pressure users. Conclusion: keeping faith and acting with courage. The signs of the end times we are witnessing are not just distant warnings, but present challenges in our daily lives. We are living in a world filled with upheaval, where the spirit of the Antichrist, technological advances, moral decay, and unending conflicts pose great challenges to faith and personal values. However, this is also an opportunity for us to strengthen our faith, seek guidance from God, and be ready to face any challenge. Amid difficulties and anxieties, it's crucial not to lose our way. Remember, God has warned us about these things, and He has promised to always be with us. Faith is not just believing in what is unseen, It is acting with courage, knowing that no matter how the world changes, God is always by our side. Maintain an optimistic view and focus on the values that faith teaches us: love, honesty, and compassion. Live true to these values, not only in worship, but in every aspect of life. We cannot control everything happening in the world, but we can control how we respond and how we live each day. Also, remember that faith is not just a personal journey, but a community one. We need to connect, support each other in faith, and spread messages of love and hope. Each of us can be a light in the darkness, and every small action can contribute to significant change. Finally, do not let challenges shake your faith. Always hold on to your beliefs, seek God's guidance in every decision, and be ready to face whatever comes. Even if the end times come, we know that God has prepared a plan for each of us, and it is a plan of salvation and hope. Thank you for joining me on this journey to explore the signs of the end times through the lens of the Bible.